it's loading. Okay, so, okay, there we are. And now, this one. All right, I think we are good. So we are going to go ahead and start the meeting. So this meeting, the Harford County Delegation, welcome to our meeting this morning, and the meeting is open, and I will start us in prayer again. Everybody. Lord, thank you for yet another blessed day. We asked for your wisdom and your guidance as we do the people's work and keep us safe from all harm. Amen. Amen. And then Delegate Impalaria, if you would lead us in the pledge.
Thank you. There we go. Thank you, Senator. If everyone look at the Senator's flag.
Yep.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Delegate Impalaria. Okay, the meeting is called to order. First, we're going to move on down to old business. So we need the motion to approve the minutes from last week. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the minutes from last week.
And
Second.
Okay, 1 second. And remember to say your name, please.
Gotcha.
So Delegate Johnson made the motion to approve the amendments, and who was second?
Delegate Impalaria.
Delegate Impalaria, second. Thank you very much. And now we're going to move on to HB 283. This was the Harford County Board of Elections.
Delegate Riley, we need to take the vote first.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, first, second motion on the minutes, and now everybody vote.
Delegate McComas?
Aye.
Delegate Arakan?
Aye.
Delegate Griffith?
Yes.
Delegate Impalaria?
Aye.
Delegate Johnson?
Aye.
Delegate Lasanti?
Aye.
Delegate Shalega?
Yes.
Thank you.
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry, Delegate Riley. Sorry.
Okay, all right. Now, sorry, thank you for keeping me on track. HB 283. So I had the hearing on this yesterday in Ways and Means. Everybody had a copy of the original bill, which basically was null and void after the amendment. So you have a copy of the original bill, the amendment. So at this point, do we have any discussion on that?
Yes.
Okay, everybody saw, okay. Delegate Impalaria.
Delegate Impalaria. I have to tell you, with everything that's going on with the school board, with the education system, not only in Harford County, but across the state of Maryland, I really feel that I can't support a school board that has members appointed by the governor. You know, the governor does have the authority, as other governors have done, to sign an order to send the kids back to school. Whether they'll honor that order, but he does have the right to do that executive order. And I support that. So at this time, I'm not going to be supporting anything on the school board other than making it a fully elected school board, so that, you know, right now, the people are facing consequences from what's going on with decisions that affect their children. It's time that all the school board members have to face those same consequences. So I won't be voting for this, because I think we should amend the bill and send a message back home that we believe the school board should be fully elected, and the school board should be fully answerable to the voters of the county.
Okay, thank you for that comment. Currently, we are, as he said, we're on this bill. We had the hearing. It's already in. We have it cross-filed in the Senate. So I believe that we should move forward with what we currently have. And certainly, you know, we can come forth with another bill next year. And that's something that we could discuss at that time. But right now we do have this bill on the floor. And I would like to go ahead and see if Well, actually, I see Delegate Lasanti has a question as well, so we'll take her question.
Thank you.
Asante.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. And I appreciate the chart that was provided to all of us that I requested at the last meeting. That was very helpful, because I think the bill that we're considering today is a little bit different than what we started with. Is that correct?
That is correct, completely
Oh.
different.
Okay, so that was helpful to be able to figure all this out. So I guess now that we're looking at basically a different bill, what's really the purpose? Because the way I see this, at the end of it, when everything is with the bill that we have in front of us, the difference becomes that the appointed members will well, I'm not gonna put words in your
Okay.
mouth. You tell me
Okay.
what the purpose is, and then I'll come back to my question.
Okay,
I
the
guess.
purpose of the bill currently, all members elected or appointed, okay? So the electeds, their term ends in the first December of 2022,
Which is
okay.
the bill
We
we
changed
did, this delegation
2
did
years ago,
2 years ago.
2019, correct.
Okay,
And then the appointeds, their terms, because they have to give the governor that 90-day period. So their term ends June the 30th of 2023. So what this bill does, so technically there's only like 6 months or less of, a time frame from those two groups of people. So technically everybody could be all new at one time. So that was what we wanted to try to address. So
okay,
this way, the electeds are done during the general election of the gubernatorial election, and the appointeds are done during the general election of the presidential. So there's always a 2-year span so there's never going to be a full turnover.
okay. I guess but currently, the elected members are appointed coterminous with the sitting governor. Is that correct?
The electeds run in the gubernatorial election, yes, and so does our
The
governor.
electeds do, and the appointeds, are they elected coterminous with the gubernatorial cycle?
The appointeds aren't
Changing it.
elected. There's
Yeah,
no
they're-
election of appointeds.
they're sworn
Appointeds
in.
are appointed.
Yes. And
I
they're,
got that, I got that, but they are appointed in a cycle. So I'm asking about, I understand that the electeds
they're
are
going to be
elected
appointed
in a-
in the presidential election cycle.
okay, which is half of a gubernatorial cycle.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay.
Every 2 years.
All the boards and commissions that I have seen across the state, across the county, all appointed positions are coterminous with the executive officer. I'm trying to understand,
He will still be appointing those because he's still,
but it lives as this bill is written longer than that executive's term.
correct. They will go for a full year term. So it could be 2 years of his term and then 2
2
years.
years of somebody else's term.
Correct.
I
But they
can't support
still
that.
have them appointed.
I-
They made the
I think
appointment and they
that
carry over.
I think that all appointed members should be coterminous with the executive that is elected.
Okay.
That's just my opinion. And
Okay, but
I do.
yeah. Yeah,
So-
we did, and obviously we called the appointments office and so forth, and they said that this happens all the time, that they can make appointments anytime during that
They
time
can
frame.
make an appointment. It's the term of office that
Right.
is
Mhm.
coterminous with the they cannot appoint into another governor's term or into a county executive's term if the appointment.
Well,
in some
apparently
cases,
they
is done by the
can,
county
because they
executive.
approved it, yeah, so they can, it's just that you don't like that, so.
No, that's not true.
I mean, you feel that you personally don't agree with them going into another term, but they can do it.
It is very rare
Yeah.
when they do.
Okay.
It
All right.
is not, it's not a common practice.
Okay, we have Delegate Griffith next, then Delegate Johnson, and then Delegate Shalega. Delegate Griffith.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Delegate in play area, I do agree with you on your points. when this bill first came forward, it would have actually extended the term of the current appointed members of the board, which I also do not support extending their terms. I had a great conversation with Delegate Riley, and she was able to amend the bill so this wouldn't take effect to 2024. So the next governor's appointments would last 2 years, and then they would appoint new members 2 years later and start with that offsetting members. So there's some continuity over the years. So I agree with you. I think that's a bill we should consider for next year, but I think Delegate O'Reilly did fix those concerns with this bill into the current iteration. So that's why I plan to support this bill.
Okay, thank you, Delegate Griffith. We move to Delegate Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have some similar concerns because I don't know. We have 3 appointed. And why we're staggering the appointed. If you wanted continuity on the board, I don't know why we didn't stagger the electeds, which would be a majority then. So you would remain continuity on the board and not lose your institutional knowledge. And we could have staggered those with no extra elections. You're talking about 3 people. I don't really call that. So you're talking either in one cycle it would be 1 person or another cycle would be 2 people. So I don't exactly call that continuity of the appointees. And I also don't like if we have a new governor comes in the office that they do not get to pick their appointees. They don't get to appoint their folks. When they come into office, they're saddled with appointees that are left over from the previous administration. I guess I have the same question. Why did we, somebody else have a comment?
Okay.
And I guess what I'm asking is why we did this bill this way. I mean, this is the first time we're seeing the bill as amended. So we didn't get to have this conversation before it went to the bill hearing. So that's why I'm asking.
Okay, well, that happened because they asked us to please put in the bills as pre-filed. Normally, when we do delegation bills from past years, they were always LRs. We voted and then we put them in, but they asked that we please submit all bills. So this is a little unusual. We've already had the bill hearings and now we have to take the vote, but that was nothing that, I could stop at that point. So that's the reason for that. We did discuss about doing the appointeds, the electeds and staggering those, but then you're kind of putting them in a disadvantage because right now, all of those school board people that are elected, they run the same time the county runs. And so they're out in the same events and they're the same opportunities and different, what do you call it? When we go to candidate forums and things like that. And we thought it would be a disadvantage to stagger some of those and make them go during the presidential election because none of that ever happens because there's no local business that happens elections except for in the congressman. So that was the main reason to do that because some of the electeds would be at a huge disadvantage and we don't want to do that because they're in district voting. So we didn't think of that and that was the reason why we didn't go that direction. We felt this would be the easiest way to kind of stagger them. And again, in the past, a lot of, some of those appointees are sometimes carried over with other governors. So, yeah, so that was that. I think that answers your question and we will take that into consideration and we will move to Delegate Shalega.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Well, generally speaking, the appointments do end at the gubernatorial. Not all of them do, Delegate Lasante. Workers' comp, there's plenty of appointments that are longer than 4 years. So they carry into the next cycle. So we're not creating the wheel here. I just wanted to make that clear. And, with what we're doing here, we're shortening up the appointments to 2 years. And, seems to be the fairest way if the will of the delegation is to ensure that we have some kind of institutional knowledge and we don't end up with, a whole new school board. It seems like the fairest way to do it because, as Delegate Riley said, the electeds, school board members certainly want to be out in the public at all the opportunities afforded to all of us and others running in that gubernatorial cycle. But finally, Delegate Riley, who brought you this bill?
It originally came from a member from the school board. At that point, we had spoken to the county executive and also Cindy Mumby because they were very instrumental back in, I believe, 2009 or something like that, when we originally changed it to a hybrid school board, because originally they were all appointed. So then we made the 6 elected and then just 3 appointed. So it was made it a hybrid. And then because of the confusion of, the whole board changing at one time, they had brought it to my attention and asked for us to address that, which we did. Since then, with the amendment, it has gone back to the entire school board, which they all agree and sent us a letter of support. So that's where we are today.
Okay.
And there were actually no questions or no opposition also in the bill hearing as well.
Okay. And just finally, while I wasn't elected when this change was made under Governor Martin O'Malley to a hybrid bill, I know Delegate Impalaria and McComas were both in the delegation. None of the rest of us were. But I did work for Congressman Harris then, and I remember that the concerns were to make sure that we had a balanced racially and ethnically and a gender balance on the school board by allowing the hybrid. So that hybrid caveat was the work of Governor O'Malley and the Democrats in the caucus at that time. So just a little FYI why it's not a fully elected school board.
Thank you, Delegate Szeliga. Okay, I still see, I see Mike took his hand down. I see Delegate Impalaria. Do you have another question? Or
Yes, and
okay,
go
go ahead.
I'm glad Delegate Szeliga brought up the history. We make steps. So we had no one elected, and then we went to the hybrid school board, which I was in support of because there should be a voice of the people on the school board, and there was 0 the way it was being done. Then when we had our first election of the hybrid school board, the public voted for a slate of candidates. The governor then appointed the slate of candidates who lost. So especially now that all these differences that we're seeing going on, the way this can work right now going forward, if they're not all elected, is the people of Harford County can vote for a slate of candidates who come forward with an agenda that they want our children to learn in a certain way. And then another slate of candidates can be totally opposite and opposed to that. So that slate of candidates can lose, and then the governor can appoint them against the will of the people of Harford County. And we've seen that. That's why I'm not going to support this. As a kid, I played basketball. We went into the game. We had a plan when we went into the game. And then all of a sudden, the other team pulled a press and stopped us. At that point, I called a timeout. I brought my guys back to the bench, and I taught them immediately how to break the press so that we didn't lose the game. So I'm not for waiting to next year to have a fully elected school board. I think we need to vote on it now. The issues before us now. The public is upset now. The governor's not acting now. The school board isn't acting now. And they're constantly saying to us, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? This is what I can do. So I'm supporting fully elected school board. And I would like to make an amendment that we have a fully elected school board. And I hope someone will second that amendment, that we get away from.
Delegate Impalaria, that's not the issue at hand. We are talking about this particular bill, the way that is amended. Now, I do want to make a comment to remind everybody that the 6 members that are elected represent the entire county in district. So our 6 districts are being elected. The 3 that are appointed are at large. So just that, I think that makes a difference as well. We're going to move on. Thank you.
It doesn't make
Comments.
a
I'm
difference
going to
to me.
move
If
on
no
now
one wants,
to.
hang on, if nobody wants to second the amendment that I put forward, that's fine. No one has to second that amendment. And if somebody wants to second it, then we should have a vote on it. But that's my position. I've now made an amendment that this should be a fully elected school board. We totally get away. We've tried one. Let's move on. Let's do the other. And it's up to the body. If no one wants to support that, that's fine.
Well, I just feel at this time you're trying to hijack the current bill that we have. So I think we need to discuss the
Well,
bill.
I'm not trying to hijack anything.
And
This is a committee. We discuss issues before this committee. We thoughts forward of the public. I am getting nonstop emails from the public saying that they're upset with the school board. They're upset with how things are being handled, and they want us to do something.
well, just to remind you,
Making an amendment,
those 6
that's not-
excuse me, just to remind you that those current 6 electeds are there and they're making those same decisions. So, I don't know what to tell you. I'm going to move on now to Delegate Griffith, I believe I'm sorry, Delegate Lasante was first.
That's okay. Thank you very much. There we go. I was trying to change my hand so you could see my hand. It was blending into my background there. I just wanted to back up just a little bit because there was about a little bit of history here because I was on the county council when this bill came through, and it was a very, very difficult bill because at the time, the Board of Education and the county council did not agree with the way the delegation was moving forward on this bill. And because initially for decades, the way Harford County's elected its school board was through a process called the Permanent Nominating Caucus. And that was where community groups came together to place names into nomination for the governor to appoint from. And so at the time, and I attended many of those meetings over the years, there were hundreds and hundreds of people from the community that had input into that process. And many of us at the time thought that if that process did not had worn its worn out its welcome, and we should modernize to a new process. Many of us thought that a fully elected school board was the right way to go. And the compromise bill that was passed by the delegation was this hybrid model that was partially appointed and partially elected. So given the conversation that Delegate Impler, and I know it's a little off the subject and we'll come back on that at a different time, but for the rest of the members, I wanted you to have the historical perspective that this conversation has been ongoing and over the last good 10, 15 years, really. So thank you.
I agree. Thank you, Delegate Lasante. We appreciate that. I believe it was Griffith, then Delegate Shalega. So Delegate
Thank
Griffith.
you. Question for Delegate Impalaria. Now, I know, Delegate Impalaria, I know you've been doing this for a long time. This bill is about changing the terms of the current process in terms of adjusting the terms for the appointed members of the board. Are you able to even put an amendment in that would completely change the entire scope of the bill and redirect the bill entirely, or would what you're proposing need to be an entirely separate bill?
No, it doesn't need to be entirely and separate bill. It's a single subject matter. We're talking about the school board. We're talking about how they're elected. This 100% fits in, and we can amend the bill to do that. We can do that right now. We have a Republican governor. He can support this delegation if that's what he wants. The question about diversity, we have diversity on the council. So obviously the people of Harford County are willing to elect a diverse group of people. So I really don't see why this amendment is 100% proper and can go forward. And I put the motion out there. We need a second. If someone wants to second it, we have to vote on it. That's the rules. If no one wants to give it a second, I'm okay with that. That's the rules too. If no one gives a second, then we don't vote on it. But we can move this thing forward. And I'm telling you, my problem is that every single person who lost last time was then appointed by the governor. And we could really have a dramatic group of people on a totally different slate for a totally different program. They're rejected by the people of the county, and then they are on our school board. I have a problem with that. So that's why I'm making this amendment. Yes, we can do this amendment. I've been here 18 years. We can totally gut a bill and redo the bill if that's what we want to do. And
But even a bill that's already had a hearing,
what's that? Doesn't matter. The hearing, right? It's having it right now. The amendments, we're discussing the amendment. So, and of course, it hasn't had a hearing yet because it hasn't went before a committee yet. So this is
Yes, it has.
deciding what they want to do.
Okay,
It has had a hearing.
it has. And I had already discussed that, yes.
Well, it doesn't matter. We can still
okay.
amend the bill. We can even amend the bill when it's on the floor of the House and when
Can.
it's. So yes, we can.
All right.
They are the rules.
Thank you, Delegate Palaria. Thank you, Delegate Griffith. Now I'm going to move over to Delegate Shalega, and then following Delegate McComas. Apparently, I don't see McComas up here. I didn't see a hand, but she just sent something in the chat that she would have her hand up. So we're going to go with Delegate Shalega, Delegate McComas, and then Delegate Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Delegate McComas, under the participants button, you have a raise your hand feature. That's where you raise your hand. I know you're waving, but that's the procedure here. Click on participants and then click on the raise your hand. I absolutely would support bringing to the public a fully elected school board, but I don't support doing that till the public weighs in. I think it makes us autocratic when we make decisions like that. I think we should have hearings across the county and get input from the public, get input from the NAACP, because they're who was at the table when we did the hybrid school board, and make sure they're good with it. And the other people that were opposed to the fully elected school board, make sure they're good. I think they would be, Delegate Impalaria. I think you're right. But I think that this kind of change needs public input, and doing it this way does not allow the public to have adequate input. So, I would support that next session, and I hope you bring that bill out, Delegate Impalaria.
Okay, thank you, Delegate Shalega. Now we're going to move to Delegate McComas.
Delegate McComas, you need to unmute.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, yes,
Yes.
obviously. All right. I was on the ground floor. I was the one that introduced the original hybrid bill in Ways and Means. Okay. And so that was the one that was passed. It was very close. We went to a county council meeting it was sort of jointly held by the nominating caucus, by the delegation, as well as by the county council. Marianne was on the council. Delegate James, who opposed an elected school board, was in the delegation. The long and the short of it is that we came to a consensus, and the consensus was supported by the Board of Education. It was supported by their members at the time. It was supported by the county executive. It was supported by all levels, and that was the deal. The question is that because if we want to change to a fully elected school board, I think we would have to go back and basically start and talk to all the different constituent groups. We would have to have hearings because I was around when they wanted to do Ripken Stadium, okay? And I was one of the folks that testified in favor of it. And County Executive Rearman opposed it, all right? I want that deal to go through. Barbara Hoffman was the Senate Finance Chair. She looked at all of us like we had three heads. You had the county council in favor of the Ripken Stadium deal. We had Cal Ripken. We had Senator McFadden was very happy because he got it.
Testified on that bill.
The bottom line is that you cannot have a bill that is a local bill go through this system when you have dissension. Now, we were just lucky because we had Cal Ripken on our side, and all the three mayors of the towns supported the bill. But the point is that when County Executive Rearman said she didn't like it, that caused quite some consternation. So I guess what I'm trying to tell you is it's better that we all go in lockstep than you have dissension, because when you have dissension, usually they don't want to deal with it. The system just doesn't want to deal with all this internesting fighting. So this is what I would suggest. We've got another year. Let's get what we've got on the table passed now. And then if we really want to go with a fully elected school board, we do that. There's more problems than what I can perceive. Now, I'm not a member of the Baltimore County delegation, but I think they've seen a lot more consternation and upset and frustration than Harford County has. So I would say, let's go with what we've got, and we've got another year to see if we want a fully elected school board. And hopefully at that time, we'll have the kids back in school and we'll make a good decision and not a decision based on a crisis, because that's kind of what we're doing right now. We're making, and no, I mean, Delegate Impalaria could be 100% right, but I think we need some time, we need some reflection, and we need some time to see if the system can right itself. Because I think a fully elected school board can go one way one day, and then the next election, they're going to go in another direction. The three appointed members can create a little bit of balance, and I think there's nothing wrong with that. So I said my piece. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. I am always right, but I will follow what the group wants.
Okay, great. Thank you, Delegate McComas. So I think we have one more question by Delegate Johnson, and then we're going to move on to see if we have a second, and then we'll go ahead and make the motion for the current bill we have on the floor. Delegate Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I appreciate all the discussion on this bill because it looks at it from a lot of different angles. And I think really that's what we're supposed to do as representing the folks in Harford County. Madam Chair, the appointed positions serve for 4-year terms. That's correct?
Well, in this bill, the way it is, they have to serve, the appointees have to serve 2 years. The very first set is only 2 years to get them on that staggered rotation. So then that same governor after that then votes them in for another term, but that term then will be 4 years. So their first term is 2, and then it's 4 from that point on once the presidential election occurs.
Okay, well, if we're going to move forward with this bill today, then I'd like to make a motion to amend that the appointed positions mirror the elected positions for a maximum 2-term limit.
Well, we can't do that because, I mean, currently laws, each one of those have 4-year limits.
We're changing that now, are we not?
We are not. That's only a temporary fix to get them on a staggered point.
Okay, so what would we have to do then to make that happen? Would that have to come up when? That we got them to where they serve 2 terms, maximum of 2 terms, just like to mirror the elected officials?
The elected officials are 4 years and the appointed will be 4 years after.
Elected officials serve how many terms?
How many terms? I
Delegate
believe
Johnson.
they have,
Is there a-
electeds are elected.
Is
So
there a term limit?
everybody would have a 4-year term,
Yes.
elected or non-elected. But the only way to create a staggered is you have to make 1 or 2 decisions. Someone has to serve a 2-year term or someone has to serve a
6.
6-year term.
Right.
And
Right.
so, and it would only be one time. So
I get that. I get
race
that.
changed in Baltimore, and the mayor got to be there 5 years because they changed how the elections were done in Baltimore. But that was only a one-time thing.
Right.
So this would
So
just be a
that- yeah.
one-time thing.
And I get that. To get the staggered
Okay.
terms, you have to do it different the first time.
Mhm.
Are there term limits on the elected officials, the elected school board?
No.
No.
Okay,
They
as
If they run, yep, if they run and they get elected,
long as they win, they can just keep on serving.
correct. And now the
Correct.
appointeds, I think they can only be appointed 2 consecutive.
Okay. All right,
Or-
withdraw.
Okay.
But that's up to the public to term limit that. So
Yes, exactly.
their
Okay,
term
so
limit-
do I have a motion to, or I don't see a second for Rick's original motion. So now we're going to move on to the actual bill as amended. Do I have a first?
Move the bill as amended.
Second.
Okay, so we have first, who do we have? That was Delegate Shalega.
Delegate Shalega, move the bill as amended.
Okay,
Archon
and do I have a second?
Archon second.
Delegate Archon second. Okay, and now we've already had discussions, so we're going to move on to the vote. Cindy, could you please read the vote call?
Delegate McComas,
Aye.
Delegate Arakan,
Aye.
Delegate Griffith,
Yes.
Delegate Impalario,
No.
Delegate Johnson,
No.
Delegate Lasanti,
No.
Delegate Shalega,
Yes.
Delegate Riley,
Yes. And the motion passes.
Carries, yeah.
Cindy?
Yes, it carries.
Yeah.
Judy had the count.
Okay. Okay, thank
It
you.
passed.
Motion passed. So now C on the agenda, last week we mentioned that the Harford Community College Student Advocacy Day. That's right. I'm sorry, Judy actually just ran in and we did vote that in support. So we do have to vote it as a delegation bill now. So do I have a motion? To vote it as,
Shalega makes a motion to make it a delegation bill.
Archon
Second.
second.
Archon second, and take the vote.
Delegate McComas, Delegate McComas,
It's not there.
Aye. Wait a minute.
aye. Delegate Arakan,
Aye, 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 aye.
Aye.
You got it.
Delegate
Your
Griffith,
lives.
Yes.
Delegate Impalario,
No.
Delegate Johnson,
No.
Delegate Lasanti,
No.
Delegate Shalega,
Yes.
Delegate Riley,
Yes,
the bill passes. The motion passes.
okay. Thank you.
I have a
Thank you. The
motion.
motion
that-
passed.
That
Now
Delegate
we're going to go
McComas, hang
to
on, I got a motion that Delegate McComas attend a computer class as soon as,
Okay, we'll take note of that. Okay, so now we're going to move on. The Harford Community College Student Advocacy Day will be February the 9th from anywhere from 12:30 to 1:30. If you would please click into that Zoom. Normally in the past, they were here up in our delegation room and we all kind of just wandered in when we could and moved around our schedule. So please do that as well via Zoom that day. And then we have our new business we're going to move to, and we have Senator Jason Gallion. This was his bill originally, and he had asked the delegation to support it over here on the House. So I'm going to have Senator Gallion to please explain the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This bill would allow the Liquor Board to issue a gift basket permit to flower shops in Harford County. The permit would allow these shops to sell and deliver alcohol included in gift baskets. Last year, similar legislation went through in Anne Arundel County, just for reference. Current national websites such as 1-800-Flowers offer these type of baskets, and those orders are filled by local flower shops. Flower shops in Harford County are unable to fill these types of orders. An example of this, if I wanted to send my wife a gift basket of flowers, chocolates, and a bottle of wine for Valentine's Day coming up, I would be able to purchase a basket from the flower shop and possibly the candy, but not the wine. So for the delivery process, the person receiving a delivery of a gift basket containing alcohol must display proof that they're at least 21. And if not, they would be taken back to the shop and someone of age would need to come pick it up. The beverages included must be purchased from a retail license holder and may not include more than 72 ounces of beer, 2.25 liters of wine, or not more than 2.25 liters of liquor. This legislation would save a step for the consumer and allow these small businesses to have a wider variety of products to sell. So in this time, do whatever we can to help these local small businesses out. We have some local flower shops that I feel like would be benefited by this. So I believe there's a letter of support from the Liquor Board for this. So I would respectfully request a favorable backing by the county delegation.
Okay, so thank you for that. We will actually take some questions. I see Delegate Griffith.
Thank you. Senator Gallion, are any other counties in the state doing this right now?
Anne Arundel last year, to the best of my knowledge. And I believe Baltimore County also currently has that. Maybe Delegate Shalega could help me out with that, but I've heard that Baltimore does too.
Okay, thank you. And
I just have a follow-up comment. Just if that's the case, I certainly hope we can be as pro-business as Anne Arundel County and Baltimore County here in Harford. So,
okay, Delegate, I believe McComas next.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That was very smooth, wasn't it, the way I did that? Okay, I'm learning, Delegate. Quick question. Do we know how much they're going to, that the liquor board is going to decide to charge for this license? And is it for a full year? I just want to make sure, these small businesses, that they're not, it's not Home Depot or some major nursery that's
Yeah,
doing this.
It's
Delegate
$100
McComas,
a
that
year.
is, yes, that is in the bill. It's $100.
A year. Yep.
I like that. That's good. That's good. That's very.
Okay, we do have to move on. We have, thank you so much. We have Delegate Shalega. Delegate Shalega.
Thanks. I just wanted to answer Senator Gallion's question. Anne Arundel County passed a gift basket bill last year. And I had one in Baltimore County. It hadn't passed, but we do have one in Baltimore County coming this year. So I think Anne Arundel was the very first one that passed last year. And, have the mic. I think it's a great idea. Thanks for introducing it.
Yep.
Excellent. Thank you, Delegate Shalega. Okay, I don't see any other hands. Do I see a motion to support this bill? Oh, I'm sorry.
Delegate Johnson has his hand up.
Some last hands coming up. Delegate Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to check. I was looking at the bill, and in the bill, it has the language that a license cannot be issued 300 feet from a place of worship.
That's current law, to the best of my knowledge, Delegate.
Did we change that last year? Did that bill go through last year?
I am not 100% sure. I could check.
If you could just check on that, Senator, because I think we
Sure.
changed that last year. And I don't think it would be fair to restrict these folks if we have unrestricted the other folks that serve alcohol.
Okay. Yeah, I'll follow up on that. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Teresa is muted.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Delegate Asante.
Thank you very much. And
Thanks, Rick.
Senator Gallion, I don't know if he's still in there,
Yes.
but okay. The way you drafted this bill, and I really do appreciate it, you preserved the distribution, the tier distribution. And I think that is a very important piece in other bills that we've had in the past that we've had difficulty with, because in the past we tried to create bills that allowed vendors like a flower shop or a beautician or something like that to go out and buy off of the market. This way you preserve that, the way your bill is written, you've preserved that three-tier system, and I really do appreciate the way it's written. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate Lasante. Now I have Delegate Impalaria.
Yeah, I would have no problem amending this bill that there would be no restriction from a school or a church, because obviously no one's consuming it. They're selling one item, it's being walked out the door and gotten in their car. They're not going to sit in the parking lot and drink it. And of course, that's always been a problem. No school student's going to sneak over and buy a gift basket with a bottle of wine in it. So is there a way, Council, I'm asking you, is there a way that we could do a quick amendment to make sure that that problem is fixed, that it doesn't change the overall law for other liquor license holders, but just this one type of license would not have that restriction on it?
Yes, we could do an amendment that the holder of a gift basket permit would be one of the exceptions to the 300 feet rule. We could do that.
I make that amendment.
And I would take that as a friendly, I just found out the reason, and a good question Delegate Johnson had with the distance from a place of worship. The reason it was done 300 feet was because when we had this bill drafted, they modeled it after Anne Arundel County. So that's the rule in Anne Arundel County. So I just found that out. So this would be a friendly amendment. I'd appreciate. Yep.
I would second, Delegate Johnson, I would second Delegate Impelaria's amendment.
Okay, so we have a motion to amend the bill on the distance. And we do have a second, and we have clarity from the legal that we can do that. And Senator Gallion has accepted that as a friendly amendment. So we will now have a vote on that motion.
Council has a
Charity
question.
has something to say.
All righty,
This is-
Charity, let me go to you. Charity,
This
go
is
ahead.
Okay, this is a Senate bill.
It is a Senate bill it hasn't had its hearing yet. And then
Correct.
we have it in the Harford County delegation as the LR, so we would amend them the same. Well, I'm amending the LR.
Correct. But to vote on, to vote to amend a Senate bill would have to come from the senators.
No. we
Okay,
can
so,
amend the Senate
so
bill.
what
We
we're
can
going
amend
to
the
do,
Senate bill on our side.
yeah, right now,
amend the
we're
Senate
going to
bill.
amend the LR number, which you can actually write on that bill. I
Okay, if this is for the LR, that's fine. Okay, all right.
Yes,
we're
and
good.
then once we amend that, then we can send that over to the Senate.
Correct.
Yes, so our motion is on the House LR, which is what, 1924?
1924.
Okay, so Cindy, if you would take the vote.
Delegate McComas,
Aye.
Delegate Arakan. Aye.
Aye, yeah. it's too-
Delegate Griffith,
Yes.
Delegate Impalaria,
Aye.
Delegate Johnson,
Aye.
Delegate Lasanti,
Aye.
Delegate Shalega,
Yes.
Delegate Riley.
Yes,
The motion passes.
okay, thank you. That motion passes. So now we actually have to, we amended it, so now we actually have to vote on the LR number as amended. And then the second, so I need a first and a second.
Move favorable on the bill as amended. Delegate Impalaria.
Shalega seconds.
Shalega second. Okay, take the vote.
Delegate McComas,
Aye.
Delegate Arakan,
Aye.
Delegate Griffith,
Yes.
Delegate Impalaria,
Aye.
Delegate Johnson,
Aye.
Delegate Lasanti,
Aye.
Delegate Shalega,
Yes.
Delegate Riley.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Okay, now I need a first to actually make it a Harford County delegation bill.
Aye.
I have to have motion
Delegation
first.
bill.
Motion.
Okay, so we have Delegate McComas first, we have Delegate Griffith who's second, and Cindy, please take the vote.
Delegate McComas,
Aye.
Delegate Arakan,
Aye.
Delegate Griffith,
Yes.
Delegate Impalaria,
Aye.
Delegate Johnson,
Aye.
Delegate Lasanti,
Aye.
Delegate Shalega,
Yes.
Delegate Riley.
Yes,
The motion passes.
okay,
Delegate
thank
McComas.
you.
Delegate McComas,
Next.
you still have your hand up.
Mhm. Okay, next we move on, and on the agenda is B of new business, and that's the election
Thank
of the chair and the vice chair. And so do I have a motion? First of all, do I have a motion for the chair?
I have a motion for the chair. I would like to nominate Delegate Teresa Riley.
Who did that?
Delegate
Arcon.
Arcon.
Okay.
Okay, and do I see a second?
I would like to second.
Okay, Delegate Griffith, second. On behalf of myself, thank you. Okay, we have a first and a second, and now we take the vote.
Delegate McComas,
Aye.
Delegate Arakan,
Aye.
Delegate Griffith,
Yes.
Delegate Impalaria,
Pass.
Delegate Johnson,
Aye.
Delegate Lasanti,
Aye.
Delegate Shalega,
Yes.
Delegate Riley, do you vote on that?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, thank you. And now we are voting on the vice chair, and Delegate McComas has offered to hold that position. She's done an excellent job for me, and I need a motion for her to be our next vice chair.
I moved, Delegate Shalega moves that we elect Delegate McComas as vice chair. She's done a good job and she is learning how to use Zoom. So Delegate McComas.
And because of all those reasons, I second that motion for Delegate McComas as vice chair. Okay, we have a first and a second, and that was Delegate Riley. Now take the vote.
Delegate McComas,
Oh, I'm not there yet. I get.
Delegate Arcan,
Aye.
Delegate Griffith,
Yes.
Delegate Impalaria,
Aye.
Delegate Johnson,
Aye.
Delegate Lasanti,
Aye.
Delegate Shalega,
Yes.
Delegate Riley.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Thank you. Thank you, Cindy, for that. Okay, we are right up to the end here, and we do have present with us Larry Richardson, which is the representative under the county executive, Barry Glassman, and he has a few comments. Larry.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I shall be very, very quick. Just a request and reminder, we're in the process of finalizing up a draft in here of the priority letter that we always send to transportation. I don't know if the camera will show it. That's what it looked like last year. If you have any specific requests that you would like to have for consideration to add to this, if you can let me know. Given the uniqueness of the 2021 session, we're trying to speed this up quicker than we normally do. So I want to get a final product to you all as quickly as we can. So we're finalizing up a draft on our end. If you guys have any projects that you would like to have considered, please let me know. Senator Gallion, if you're still on, I did get the information about Dooley, and I think it was 165. So I may just touch briefly with you a little bit on that, but I did get that information.
And
So, yeah,
Delegate
just-
Griffith was involved in that too. So I'll make sure, if you could copy him on that.
I'm sorry, who?
Delegate Griffith was also involved on that, if you wouldn't mind copying him.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, Mr. Richardson, I appreciate that. This is a great surprise, and very much welcome that we actually have some input prior to seeing the actual packet. So I know that we do have you scheduled for the 18th, February the 18th. Now I'm assuming at that point, that's when you have presented the final package.
Let's say good Lord willing and the creek don't rise.
Okay, so I say that because it's very important that at this point you are saying, okay, delegates and senators, if you have any priorities, send that to you ASAP, because they will be finalizing it very shortly. Because like I said, we're going to hopefully have you on the 18th, and that will be the finalization. So please, if you have any priorities, get them to Mr. Richardson as soon as possible. If you don't have his email address, Cindy will forward that to you. So
Yeah.
and that will be the transportation priorities. Yes.
Your expediency would be deeply appreciated.
Okay.
Delegate McComas has her hand up, as does Delegate Johnson.
Okay, Delegate McComas, quick.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Richardson, is it possible we could get a rough draft or kind of just a list of what the priorities are? Not necessarily, just on your draft, because I know that there's a real concern, and Councilman Rhodes has it, the intersection of Grafton Shop Road and 20 is kind of really scary. And I need to talk to my representatives on the council, because I have several, different roads that they represent that have some concerns. So it would be helpful, because I don't want to waste your time in repeating what you guys already acknowledge is a problem. So that would be really helpful. And it'll give me time to talk to my councilman.
Okay, see what we can do. Definitely, I can tell you 23 and Grafton Shop has been in and continues to be in.
Yes. Yes. Okay. And then I'm sorry, Cindy, who was the other one? I don't see. Okay.
Delegate Johnson.
Delegate Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Mr. Richardson. Mr. Richardson, is the intersection at Route 40, and I think it's Otsego and Haverty Grace, is that on there? Because that has been on the state's priority list as number 2 in the state for the last, I think, 3 years. So are we aligning ourselves with the state to make sure we get these projects done when we can?
Yes, Delegate Johnson, I can tell you that one was in last year's, and there, that was included last year. And that will probably, that, I don't see any reason why that's not going to be in this one this year as well.
Is it now? Do you know?
I would
Is
say
it-
we're in the figure, we're officially finalizing up for fiscal year 21.
Okay.
We have included it in the past.
Okay.
I'm not aware of any reason why it won't be included this year as well.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you, Delegate Johnson, and thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Richardson, for coming down, and we look forward to communicating with you on our priorities and seeing you hopefully on February the 18th in our Zoom delegation meeting.
I do promise at that time I'll actually have a shirt and tie on.
Okay, all right, thank you. I see that we always have our, a representation through our county executive with Larry, and we also always usually have representation from our Sheriff Gaylor. I do think Eric Roby is on the line. If you have any comments from our Sheriff's Office.
I don't see him online. Are you sure he's online?
Okay, he's probably watching live stream. Okay. All righty, I know that they were always in our meetings before, so I just thought maybe he was on. All right, any further business? If not, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second,
First, do I have a second?
second.
Second by Delegate Griffith. Thank you all and see you next week.
And thank you, everyone. Thanks for the opportunity.